Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Candid Convos. Today, I have my childhood friend, Precious.
Yay!
Hey, dear.
Hi, Anna. Banana. I
So
couldn't
nice to do
resist. I'm
this
sorry.
video with you. So nice to do this video with you. Before we start, I'll ask her to introduce herself so that you guys get to know her.
Well, there isn't really that much to say, but my name is Precious Musa. And like Anna said, I'm a childhood friend of hers. We've been friends for many, many years, and just happy to be on this platform. Thank you so much, Anna, for allowing me to be part of your program.
Thank you. Thank you. She was actually my first friend when we got through high school, and she was my desk mate. And I guess life was easier because we were all learning a whole lot of different things. And you're one person that I look at and admire because I think you're really wise. And I'm hoping that today people get to learn from you. And I wanted us to talk about adulting because adulting is tough, right? We live in a world where media has shaped us. It has told us what a perfect life looks like, what a perfect partner looks like, to a point where sometimes we cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is fake. And I want us to talk about it, to say, what has that done to us, allowing media to define who we need to be?
I mean, just as you mentioned that, just this past week, I was having a chat. I don't know who I was having a chat with. And they were saying that on the commercials that are now coming out, they want to specifically indicate that the picture has been doctored or it has been photoshopped because of the effects that these photos are having on young children, specifically women. You look at an image of somebody in the media, they just, everything is tucked away where it should be. And you look at yourself and things are growing that shouldn't be growing. Just so you know. But you're definitely right. What the media does is it gives us certain ideals that we strive for. So it could be as women, certain beauty ideals. If you are to be beautiful, you need to look a certain way. So it puts a lot of pressure on us. And we cannot say we're totally, safe from it because, we consume these things. Watch TV, and before you know it, you are constantly striving to be what you cannot be, because you can't attain that level of beauty or that level of it could be sophistication, whatever it is you're striving for. So definitely, I definitely agree with you there.
It's funny that you say that, because last night I was also having a conversation with someone, and we were saying it has affected us more than we realized, because when we're growing up, we watched fairy tales, right? And we just thought when you get the guy, it's happily ever
you
after.
Ride off into the sunset and
And even in movies, when you see a husband and wife argue, the man walking out, he drives, he doesn't even get as far as, work, and he's thinking, he turns his car, he comes back and he's like, I'm so sorry for what I did. And then the reality in real life is, you guys can go for 3 weeks without talking. It's being intentional and working on it. And we're saying, unfortunately, it's not everyone who actually knows who they are. And that has affected us. And I think me and you have been on that journey of finding ourselves, which is why in high school, me and you found ourselves drinking that vinegar because of our lives.
I mean, just to give people a bit of background, in high school, it's funny we mentioned this now, but in high school, your body starts to change, and for us, it so happened that our body started to change, specifically in our legs. We just felt, they were a little bit larger than they were supposed to be. And we're like, okay, what do we do now? And we started to drink all sorts of concoctions just to slim down. But I think the good thing about that example, Anna, is, when we really look at it, and now we laugh at it, but it was actually a struggle at the time because,
Yeah.
like for me, for one, I was smaller, like generally the rest of my body was just generally smaller. I was very petite, and you could have certain insecurities around your petiteness because you're not as as round as you want to be. Then you have these small weights that are coming on your legs, and you're thinking, what's really going on? But those are some of the challenges that women go through, and they don't just stop there, Anna, do they?
They don't.
When we grow, you have other challenges. Maybe when you actually start to appreciate who you are and your body, it could be life changes, you have a child, you get married, or maybe life just got in the way, or you've lost weight, whatever. It's not just about gaining weight, it's about a whole lot of things. And you're struggling to find yourself. While we're there, there is a book I recently just got my hands onto, and if you've got time, you really need to read it. It's Finding Myself by Viola Davis. And
oh, girl, I've been waiting to read this.
But what she was talking about is the struggle that women like her and us have as we transition from one stage of our life to the other. So we've transitioned from high school. We are getting into womanhood and what that womanhood entails. That identity, it's not just physical identity. It's a struggle as well with how you maintain, how to navigate the social space. Maybe as a married woman, you need to navigate that social space. What does it mean? And your personality may not necessarily get into that transition very easily, and you may find it to be a struggle. And what she was saying is you need to take the time to find who you are so that you can allow yourself to have the self-care and validation that comes from yourself. Now, when we link back to social media, your validation should not come from you post a picture and you get 20 or 200 likes. Then you think, okay, so that definitely means either what I'm saying is important or I'm beautiful enough because I have 200 likes. You need to go on a journey where you appreciate who you are, regardless of what people around you have to say about you. And how difficult is that, Anna, when you really think about it? It's not so easy, is it? Because, and the reason why it's not so easy is because we live in a society where, sorry, I tend to talk and explain a lot. Yeah. We live in a society where we don't live on an island, right? So as I'm interacting with my friends and, I get compliments, you can start off to feed off of those little things. So if somebody says, I'm looking good, then I must be looking good. If someone says, I'm successful, I'm this and that, then I really must be. But you can become so dependent on those things that you forget to really go on a quest to find out who you are so that it comes from within. Because there will come a time in life where all those things will run out. God designed it in such a way that sometimes he leaves you dry of everything so that you find out who you are. And I mean, ultimately, we're God's children, and that's where our value should be placed from.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because that then shows us that the reality of the world we live in is it is going to set a standard for us. And that journey of finding yourself, like I watched the interview that she did with Oprah, and I was so touched hearing her story. And I guess it links to what you're saying, because she shares on her childhood bedwetting for so many years and going to school because they were so poor, and she would be smelling, and being called out to say, you're smelling, but you don't even have soap or clothes to wash yourself. Imagine what that does to you, and being told by people around you to say something is wrong with you. And I guess, like you were saying, that's why we are all looking for meaning in the things that are around us, because we're just trying to find a place that we fit in. And I know here in Australia, they were saying suicide rate has gone up and people are lonely, even though they're surrounded by people. And that tells you a lot. People have a million friends on Instagram or on social media platforms, and they feel lonely, or sometimes because we're out of COVID, you're getting to meet people. You find what worked before does not work anymore, and you don't even know how to navigate that journey. So my question to you is, in the different seasons you found yourself in your own life, how have you done it? How have you grown? Because like you mentioned, it's a journey. What boundaries, what did you have to do to get where you wanted to be?
Okay, I think firstly it's important, like you said, to realize that it's a journey. And in saying that, it means we have not arrived. I certainly haven't arrived. So I don't claim to have all the answers, and nor do I claim to be on a pedestal telling people, if you do this, suddenly it's a magic wand, your life is now suddenly perfect. But these are skills that can help you as you navigate the different seasons. And this is something that I'm still applying myself as I've navigated the different seasons that come with life. I think I've learned to be, like you said, knowing what I can and cannot take. That's difficult. So it could be in friendships, and this means realizing and recognizing this friendship will not really serve my interests. And you don't place any judgment on the next person, but it's simply saying, this specific friendship is not going to serve where I'm trying to go. And maybe the feeling is reciprocated, but being confident within yourself to say this will work and this will not, because you can go through life saying pretty much yes to everything and trying to please everybody, but you can't, no matter how much you try. So learning to say no. Learning to say no, Anna, is not easy, because as Christians, we also are groomed to serve others, to be there for the others kind of constantly. So when you say no, sometimes you wonder to yourself, am I really doing the right thing? As a Christian, am I really allowed to actually say no? But as a Christian, you are actually supposed to say no. And when we look at God as an example, from the Garden of Eden, there was a boundary. Adam and Eve were not supposed to partake of the fruit, a specific type of fruit. That's a boundary. Don't go there, right? And God gives us specific commandments. Those are boundaries in themselves. And God himself says he's a jealous God. Do not, right? Do not worship any other gods before me. And what God is trying to teach us is that you need to be confident in yourself to know what your values are and what your principles should be, and to be able to say no. And while we're there, it's important to also pick your friends wisely. I think that has really, really helped me. So in picking your friends wisely, you pick people who build you up in this journey, because I will have moments of weakness, and Anna, you will also have moments of weakness. And if we are friends who can protect each other and give each other a safe space to talk without any judgment, that will work well. Because I think, Anna, we need to also delve into the issue of women confiding in each other, because as we go through different seasons, you may find you really want to talk to somebody, but you can find, I've told my dear friend Anna this problem, and you would say, and by the way, Anna is in no shape, way or form a judgmental person, but I'm just giving you an example because we're talking. And I find that my friend starts to judge me, or makes me feel less than because I'm going through what I'm going through. How do we, maybe let me bring the question back to you, Anna, like how should we converse as women to create safe spaces that will help us navigate through the different seasons?
Okay. Well, I love what Michelle Obama said, and I think I shared it with you, where she says, we didn't fight for women to be the same. We fought for women to have a choice to be who they want to be. And I think we are the ones who put pressure on saying, like you're saying, judging someone to say, if you're not like me, then something is wrong with you. But what's the reality? Like you said, our identity comes from God, and we're all created for a different purpose. I was not created to be you. You were not created to be me. So if I'm different, I should be proud of myself, because I think our uniqueness is our superpower. You know, being able to actually say, I'm not entering a room to fit in, I'm entering a room to show them the beauty of being myself. And I think that has been the hardest for us, right? We think you have to look like everyone to be good or to be successful. But the thing is, success is different for everyone. And I would love you to explain in your own life to say, what does success mean to you?
What does success mean to me? That's quite a deep question. I think success to me means finally being at peace. Everything that life throws at me, knowing that God has a bigger purpose, knowing that I have trust in God. So for me, success is actually being aligned with God's will. And being aligned with God's will means even if I haven't achieved the things of this earth that I wanted to, I'm at peace with myself. Even if someone else looks at me and thinks whatever they want to think, be it good or bad, if I'm aligned with God's will, I'm at peace. So I think success, if I'm to really put it in a word, it's ultimate peace in knowing whose I am, because the relationship with God can be, I don't want to call it a dicey one. The word I'm looking for, it's a delicate one. When God is giving you what you want, easy, isn't it, to be, I'm aligned with God's will. I know whose I am. I'm confident in who God says I am. But when trials come, your self-esteem can take a knock. I speak for myself. There've been times in my life where I didn't even know where I was coming or going. I didn't know what I was trying to achieve, because it was chaos within myself. And those are the moments in my life where I look back, and that wasn't success when I look at it. It was confusion. It was chaos. I was trying to survive on my own, not knowing where my strength comes from. And it's still a journey. Christianity is still a journey, because one minute I can stand here now, but if I'm not strong within myself, you'll see me going on another tangent if I haven't taken the time to align myself with God's will. So for me, that's the ultimate.
I like that. And can I ask, you said you went through a season where sometimes you noticed that you were doing things your own way or trying to survive in your own power. And how did you get out of it? Because I meet people who be like, I'm in that space where I'm just stuck. but I actually don't know how to get out of it. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I need to do to discover myself.
It's having difficult conversations, number one, with God, having difficult conversations with yourself, having difficult conversations with friends. So, not hiding from your pain. And not hiding from your pain doesn't mean you have to share everything with everybody willy nilly. You can choose to have a boundary. I'm not going to have this conversation with A, B, and C, but I will have a conversation with B, C, and D because they understand what I'm trying to say. So being open and honest with my friends, I will use you again as an example, but I remember there was a time where I was having a challenge and I was like, you know what? Can you pray for me in this regard? Because I'm not too sure how to navigate this. And I found that sometimes admitting that you cannot pray for yourself and you don't know what you're doing can help somebody in a better space than you to actually pray for you without necessarily making you feel like you don't have it all figured out. Because we also live in a society where, media aside, if you don't have it figured out, say, I'm going through mental health challenges. People are like, what? But having worked in the mental health space, I know what a real issue it is and how people struggle to find somebody to talk to. Again, there is no shame in finding a therapeutic space. I utilize it when I need to. I don't know what your experience is. Maybe you can also share. But finding a professional to unpack some of the things that you could be going through that you don't even know how to navigate. Because there are certain things about ourselves that somebody can tell us, but we don't know.
Yeah.
So but number one is telling God, because He can change things for you, where you're actually like, God, I don't know how to do this. Please help me.
And I love that you said it's firstly going to God, because I know when I went through that journey, he started removing people from my life. And that is the hardest, because you're saying, I'm in this space that I want to be who you have called me to be. But I also don't know who I am. And I love one thing about you, because you keep your circle small. Like, you are one of those people who does not call a colleague or an acquaintance a friend. For you to give anyone a title of being a friend, you really think about it. And I know I have gone through the journey of learning that there's a friend for everything. It's exhausting to make one person a friend for everything. To say, when I need prayer, I'm going to Precious. When I need entertainment, I'm going to Precious. When I need to vent, I'm going to Precious. Like you shared, someone was actually saying, before you vent to someone, you need to find out if they're actually okay to receive what you're about to tell them, because it's a load on someone else, and sometimes people end up thinking they need to save you. So it's actually finding out the space that your friend is in before you start telling them to say, Precious, so this is what is happening to me, because it's not everyone who can handle it. And it really helped me, because now you know in my
something now. Yeah, that's Go on. I just wanted to add on here.
It's okay. In my own journey, I've learned that there are friends who are for entertainment that I wanted to be spiritual friends. There are friends who are just spiritual friends who I wanted to be entertainment. Like, I was putting them in the wrong categories, and that's why I was so frustrated. And in finding myself, it's like a whole lot of layers started falling off. Like the need to please people, the need to explain myself when you want to say no, and wanting everyone to understand. and actually accepting that there's some seasons you need to walk alone because you are tying your identity to the people around you or the career and everything. So that was the biggest frustration. But I know you have really taught me a lot that just because you hang around with someone, it doesn't mean they're a friend. And that's why you get frustrated where I've told a friend something personal and I find everyone sharing it. And I'm like, how can this friend do this to me? But were they truly a friend in the beginning? And that's how tough adulting is, right? That not everyone.
I mean, there's a saying in our culture which says, "Kuraone," "Kuraone," and there's also another saying that goes, "Show me your friend and I'll tell you your character." So they are companions and they're friends and they're colleagues. At work, we'll have colleagues and we have nothing but love to share, but there are also boundaries. It doesn't mean if I work with you, we'll have to share everything that is happening at home. It also doesn't mean that I have to share everything with each and every one of my, it could be immediate or extended family members. And vice versa, I don't expect them to say everything to me. It's about finding a balance that works for you, like you said. And there are some friendships that will fall off as you are finding yourself. And as a Christian, you can almost feel, it can leave a very weird taste in your mouth afterwards because you're like, but if these friends are falling off, does it mean that I'm a bad person now? What do they think about me, But the same way that they may not be serving a purpose in your life at that point in time, you also need to be comfortable with the fact that you're not everyone's cup of tea. And someone will say, no, Precious or Anna, that friendship is not for me for A, B, or C. And you need to be comfortable enough to say, someone will look at me and won't appreciate what I have to offer. And being comfortable in that space, because it can take a knock at you. So why isn't this one, appreciating what I have to offer? But such is the circle of life. It's a wheel, and you will be for some people and some people. Let's look at Jesus as an example. Jesus could have had 54 disciples or whoever, but he chose an inner circle. They were serving his purpose at that point in time. And even in the discipleship itself, some, when things got hard, started to fall away, started to betray him. Did it mean that Jesus was bad in the process? No, his purpose, he was just going forward with his purpose, but some were not really understanding what was going on. So we need to look at that example and realize that we are trying to be like Jesus, faulty as we are, wretched sinners as we are. And when we say we're trying to be like Jesus, we're not saying we have figured it out. Because somebody can tell me a whole lot of bad things about me that, we're sinners, aren't we, Anna?
I love that. And I guess my last question to you is, there's something called constructive criticism when it comes to friendships. And some people get offended by being corrected or just being told the truth. What can you share with us about that?
Wow, that one is an interesting one because I think it's in how it's said. I've also had friends who said, I don't appreciate this. And to be honest, my first reaction was to become defensive. You don't understand what I was trying to do, but in hindsight, I actually appreciate those friendships because it shows that person is willing to put in the time with me and tell me what it is they appreciate and don't appreciate. Similarly, I'm now also in a space where with friends, I can say, this, why does it seem like I'm the one trying to find you all the time? What's happening here? If my friend, if my friend is busy, then they'll say, I'm going through a busy season. It's not that I don't care. So that way we then find a way of navigating. So I think it's about having healthy conversations and saying, okay, I am a bit sensitive, friend. So when you say certain things, let's just be mindful of the way we say it and the words we say it, because I'm just a tad bit more sensitive than you are, or, so this is what works for me. So I suppose as friends and as sisters, we need to have those conversations around how we approach certain conversations, so that when the conversations come, or let's say you say, if you see me quiet, it simply means I'm trying to navigate, or I'm actually really busy. It's not that I don't care. So when I know Anna is busy, she's busy. Doesn't mean she doesn't care.
I love that. I love that. I was actually sharing recently to say, I think communication is so important, especially when you're in a friendship or relationship with someone. I can't send you a message and you ignore, and I see you updating your status, and I see you in the same groups that you are in. You're responding, but you're not responding to the message that I've given you. And I think what was hard for me is recently I had to let go of a friendship because this person would make commitments and not show up, and not apologize and not do anything. And like you've mentioned, it's so important that even if you can't, you just say, right now, I cannot, I'm taking a step back in this season, not to make a person look like a fool, coming to you all the time, the missed calls, and then when you meet, acting like everything is okay. You know what I mean? Then you wonder, what is up with that?
Yeah.
But I guess what is most important from everything that you've shared from the very beginning is knowing who you are. And I think until we know who we are, we're always going to be finding our identity in things and the people that are around us instead of going to God. I don't know if you have any final words before we close.
No, I completely agree with that. Knowing who we are, but I would put a little colon and say, knowing who you are, colon or whatever, semicolon, whatever, in Christ, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do. We need to know who we are. And in knowing who we are, we really need to go back to the roots of where our confidence should come from, where our strength should come from, and all those bits and bobs. Yeah. So thank you so much. And I mean, thank you. I've really learned a lot, and I hope this message will bless those who need it.
No, thank you. You're so wise and so, I think you're so bold, and just seeing your journey of the way you've grown, I love who you have become. But as you mentioned, you're still on the journey. But I love the fact that you have set your boundaries. Maybe actually before you go, there's a book that you recommended on boundaries. Maybe you can share with people so that they actually go and read it. I forgot what it's called.
Oh, the book is actually just called the book is actually just called Boundaries. My one of my dad's sisters, my aunt recommended it to me, and it just teaches you the power. I think one of the authors is Townsend. Unfortunately, I don't have I can't Google the name, but if you Google Boundaries, it should be one of the first that comes up. And one of the authors' last name is Townsend. And essentially the main lessons in that book is it teaches you to be able to say no without feeling bad. It also teaches you the different personalities that you come across in life. There are narcissists that will not accept no for an answer. They're those types of friendships that will make you feel flustered and like you're suffocating. But you need to say no for self-preservation and self-care. So it's a good read. And I also recommend Finding Me by Viola Davis.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.